took all we had.
If there is one thing we can be certain of going into episode 5 of any Power season, it's a major death or a big moment in terms of a revelation of a secret, a character coming out of prison, and so on. Now, based on the promo for Raising Kanan 305, the question on the street is, who will pay the ultimate price? With Rock's voiceover saying somebody is going to have to pay, so who will it be? The way they're setting things up in the trailer, I don't think it's going to be any old small fish. I do think we're in for a big shake-up, and we do have to remember, episode 5 is when they normally shake things up and completely turn the storyline upside down. We've seen them do it before where the balance of power shifts within families, and it looks like they're taking a very similar approach in this episode. It's going to be about family, and especially brothers. But just a bit of a housekeeping before we get into the trailer, I do have to let you guys know that after episode 5 there is a break, which kind of does make sense with the new year and how the dates have fallen, so expect episode 6 to return on January the 12th. But with that being said, let's dive into all things Raising Kanan, Season 3, Episode 5. Now, the title for episode 5 is Brothers and Keepers, and the synopsis reads, tensions between Ronnie and Unique come to a head, while Kanan clashes with both Rock and Famous. Meanwhile, Duke bonds with her bandmate, which no doubt will be Aisha and definitely not Crystal, and Lou works to revitalize Cafe Vu. With Howard, his attempts to manipulate the task force backfires. Now, first things first, what do they mean by Brothers and Keepers? In terms of where we are in the storyline with Unique and Ronnie, we can break down Brothers and Keepers into trust, loyalty, support, and being there for each other, having each other's backs. But the problem is, there is a lack of trust between Ronnie and Unique, and Ronnie's action since he has got out has actually been the opposite. But let's just take a look at this from Ronnie's standpoint. He's not happy with what Unique's done with his kingdom that he left. He would have expected to come home to work, an organization and a system, but there's no crew, no product, and no connect. However, Ronnie isn't exactly acting like his brother's keeper. Instead, he's causing a lot of shit for Unique by telling Panessa that he had a side piece. He then yapped to Snaps and Pop about how Unique was in bed with Rock. He also went and spoke shit to Dean, and then followed it up by killing him when he did no different to what Dean did, speak about others' business when he shouldn't have. So that's not what you expect from a brother. It goes against the grain of being each other's brothers and keepers. Now, in the trailer for episode 5, we've got Unique showing Ronnie the new operation that he's got set up, thanks to Stefano's link Quan. Unique's new hustle is moving H to the Chinese restaurant, which isn't normally what Unique would do, but he's not exactly in a strong position either. Now, this isn't going to impress Ronnie one bit. In episode 3, he told Unique that Rock is eating off their backs, and now we see him telling Unique that Rock took all they had. But just to add a bit more context, this is also where we'll hear Unique batting back and telling Ronnie that Rock is out the game, it's just them. But Ronnie isn't someone who listens. He's old school and likes to do what he wants and thinks it's his way or no way, or he resorts to violence. So I do think it's pretty safe to assume he's not happy with Unique's new little business, and he's also acting wild in the streets by having a gun to the back of someone's head. So again, just to add a bit more context, in the season trailer there was another scene with Unique and Rock, which matches up to episode 5. We're gonna hear Unique telling Rock, Ronnie's out here acting a little too wild in the streets, and it is a problem for both of them. They both know that his brother is a huge problem, and sooner or later that they're gonna have to do something about it, because he's not just gone and killed Dean. I do think Panessa's found out about Unique and Rock, and I think it's safe to assume we'd put that down to Ronnie yapping his mouth. Panessa is looking mad angry at Unique, so I wouldn't be surprised if this is where she finds out about their relationship, which is on a bit of a break. But that's besides the point. The only reason she started to have doubts is because Ronnie's the one who put it in her head about Unique having a side piece. So again, it goes back to brothers and keepers. If Ronnie really was Unique's keeper, then he wouldn't be putting shit like this in Panessa's head. Now, the tension has been building between Unique and Ronnie, which will lead to this moment we all knew was bound to happen, so let's go. Let's see if baby brother has what it takes to show that he's the king. Or will it be Ronnie who beats his brother to take control? Or could it be more? Could one of the brothers do the unthinkable? Rock said it in the trailer that somebody's gonna have to pay, and it is episode 5, so it is gonna be a big one. So could one of the brothers go? You get the feeling from the vibes of the trailer, and with the episode title being Brothers and Keepers, and the two brothers going head to head, something big is coming and we are in for a big shift. So here's my opinion, and it does tie in with what we've seen and what we haven't seen between Ronnie and Kanan. I do feel like Ronnie will win against Unique. Whether it ends in death, I'm not too sure. Unique is a big character, but nobody is ever safe in power. I mean, if they kill Ghost, then literally nobody is safe. Let's also not forget what Ronnie said to Joaquin and Juliana.
If Nick's a problem, we can figure that out. Problems always got solutions.
Problems have solutions, but just to add some more context on why I think Ronnie will be victorious, is because we know there is a lot more story for him in season 3. But we don't know that about Unique. Where do they take his storyline? Because he's got no crew, he's lost his right-hand man. Sure, he has got a new connect in Kwan, and he set up shop at the Chinese restaurant, but I don't see any money going into his back pocket. I don't see anybody lining up at the Chinese restaurant for his H. I don't think Unique has even been able to get word out on the streets, because he doesn't have anyone. We also have to factor in the law enforcement aspect, which makes streets business a lot more complex. Whereas when it comes to Ronnie, we know he's going to approach Kanan and ask him whether he's running for Unique. We know that Ronnie will give Kanan his first brick in the game. We know that it's probably Ronnie who introduces Kanan to Snaps and Pop. So we know there is just a lot more story for Ronnie with him taking Kanan under his wing and potentially working for him. But where do they take Unique storyline? It does make you question. Now with Famous, in my breakdown for episode 4, I mentioned that Kanan is going to have to put a bit of trust in him to run his operation now that he's stuck at Rock's place, but we all know what Famous is like.
I am officially on fucking vacation.
Not only is he fed up with the constant phone calls, him and Kanan have continued doing business right on their doorstep. They've been giving their couriers their packages and re-ups right outside where they live, but also where law enforcement are posted up in episode 4. Howard warned Rock that if the feds were watching her, then they were definitely watching Kanan, and they were right there. So Famous is going to get picked up in episode 5, which isn't new for him. We've seen him being arrested before and tossed into a holding cell in season 2, but the difference is this time, Famous is into a lot more shit. He's got his weird operation with Kanan, and let's not forget, he's also the one who killed Freddy at the end of season 2, which they haven't circled back around to yet, but this is Sasha Penn and the writers are different for raising Kanan. So where storylines have kind of been brushed aside when it comes to the early seasons of Ghost, I don't see that happening with raising Kanan. They're definitely going to be creating a masterpiece, and to do that, they do have to cross every T and dot every single I. So I do wonder whether Famous is someone who will be in big trouble with law enforcement come the end of season 3. Now something else we do have to bear in mind is, him having a pen and a notepad in his hand is dangerous. We know what Famous can do, he can definitely rhyme when he puts his mind to it. But let's not forget, the last time he did that, he made Street Seed a body, which told the story of the stash house along with Buck 20's death. So I wouldn't be surprised if he does the same and self-snitches by rapping about him killing Freddy, because he will be releasing a track called 411, where he does rap about Freddy. So I do think it's game time in raising Kanan. With this shift coming and with Kanan potentially working for Ronnie, do you guys see Famous doing the same? Because Ronnie will definitely slap him up straight away for being a clown. So let's see what happens with Famous when he gets arrested, but more so where it leaves his relationship with Kanan and also their weird operation. Now sticking with law enforcement, we know that Rock has been watched since the start of season 3. Wherever she goes, law enforcement are constantly keeping tabs on her, even with a new property that she bought, where it seems like she's going to have to deal with a broken window or two, which no doubt will be these two dickheads. Fortunately, she is out of the game at this moment in time, and so they really haven't been able to get too much dirt on her. To law enforcement, Rock just looks like a regular civilian, but the problem is the feds are digging deep. They're not buying the Crown Camacho story like they were in episode 1, and that's a huge problem. Because let's not forget, Rock did buy Crown share of Bulletproof Records, but I do feel like Rock is good on that part. As much as I feel like law enforcement will get a win come the end of season 3, I feel like it won't be Raquel. I'm leaning more towards either Famous, Detective Howard, or possibly Marvin ending up in an orange jumpsuit. Famous because sometimes he can just act like a clown, and for the reasons we just went through. I also wouldn't be surprised if he was pressured into talking by law enforcement. We all heard what the older Kanan's narration said at the end of episode 4, so that's just a thought. Detective Howard because he's deep in this shit just like Rock. There's only so much he can control, and the synopsis does tease that plan of his to manipulate the task force will backfire. Then there's Marvin, because I don't know whether he's dealing with undercover cops with the Wall Street guys, and I really don't get a good feeling about Gerald Moore who works out voice, so that's just something to keep an eye on. So those are my top picks. I can see at least one of those 3 ending up in jail. Now with Lou, as much as he's on this downward spiral, it does seem like he's been thrown a lifeline with Cafe Vu, which seems like he's got his spark back thanks to both Lou and Marvin. So where the trailer for episode 5 does tease, who pays the ultimate price, I don't think that will be Lou, not yet anyway. His time will probably be a bit later on, and this is from the season trailer. But with all of that being said, drop all your thoughts down below in the comment section. Let me know your predictions on what is definitely going to be an explosive episode of season 3. Drop all your thoughts and predictions down below in the comment section, and as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.